here we are. Just sold a big bear. Couldn't pass this up. These things are just great. Let's get it out of the truck and take a look. So those of you who subscribe to the channel know that I have a tendency to purchase these ATVs. This is the fourth one I've owned. The first one was a tan one, and it was a 2003 or 4. He was named Herb. That thing was hilarious. It was a 2-wheel drive. The second one we purchased was off a friend who was moving. That was a 4-wheel drive one. I think it was a 2011. So really, really good condition. Had a plow on it. Third one I just recently had, it was blue. Bought it in Missouri for $500. Super poor condition. Did a whole bunch of work to it. It turned out to be a halfway decent quad. That's probably the last video you likely saw. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out. It's pretty cool. This is a 2004 Yamaha Big Bear 400 4x4. Based on what the serial number says on the side, the VIN, the 10th, she's cooked. The 10th digit is a 3. So I'm fairly confident, and I'll confirm in a minute, that this is a 2003 Big Bear 400. She's gonna need a little bit of love, but I got bored and I was looking online, and this was up there for a super long time. I just happened to notice it before we even moved here. The guy had it up for $2,000, and it didn't need anything, allegedly. So I messaged him because I knew it was 4-wheel drive, and it seemed to be in okay condition from what he was saying from the ad. But he had really bad pictures in the description. It was super short, it was advertised as ATV, no real good info about it. And if you know anything about Facebook Marketplace, that usually is a good thing, because people can't sell their stuff because no one knows what it is, and poor advertisement and poor photos usually leads to someone thinking that their item doesn't have value. So I went there, talked to the guy, and he basically talked himself down. It was up for $2,000, which is already pretty worth it. I mean, KBB books these things at a super low number, but they have a tendency to go for good money. I had bought that the most recent blue one for $500, put about $400 into it, and some decent time. Ended up selling it for almost as much as this one was advertised for. So that was pretty cool. But this one, long story short, the guy talked himself down, and we settled on $1,200. It's pretty cool. So I'm gonna check the oil here. It was down a little bit, so I topped it off with some Yamaha lube. Just shot some quick detailer Meguiar's wax on there, and it went from pink back to almost red. So I mean, these plastics are super faded, but I think they can be restored a little bit. I've purchased these decals before, the Big Bear decals, and it comes with the 4x4. I think it's on command. So for $40 you can get replacement ones, and it makes these things look a hell of a lot better. I'm super interested in jacking this thing up and seeing just how bad the wheel bearings and axle bearings are, because it's just par for the course on these things. Something on every single one of these Big Bears that I have owned that always seems to be an issue is the drain plugs. However, Yamaha designed them from the factory. Oh, no way. Sweet. People have a super high tendency of stripping these things out. They either use metric or, don't use metric sockets, or they try to get a wrench on there or something crazy. And these are usually round. So that's almost usually a $10 given that you're going to spend on a new drain plug. But it looks like we might have gotten off scot-free. The recoil, so much compression, actually works, which is cool. It looks like a relatively new fuel petcock, or someone cleaned it. The carb doesn't look all nasty. So we know it's got oil. Let's I checked this the other day. I gotta show you guys this. So I was just poking around as the guy was talking. He put a brand new battery in it. Of course, this is missing a 10 mil, but oh, snapped off. Classic. This is in there backwards. The air box, you'll see here in a second. It's got some surprises. That's better. Corn, anyone? It's really not that bad, but it's really funny. All right, so we'll get this vacuumed out in a second. I'm gonna show you guys that this thing runs. I don't think there's really any gas in it. Yeah, we're gonna dump a little bit in there. It was showing signs on uphills that it was low on fuel, but we'll get the crap out of the air box and fire it up and take it for a spin. See how terrible it sounds. All right, that's all cleaned up. I'm gonna go ahead and stuff this back on for now. I'll just order up a new genuine replacement air filter and filter sock. Yeah, let's dump some gas in this thing and see if it runs. Got 694 miles, allegedly. We'll see if it actually moves when we move forward. Fired right up. Runs really good. Yeah, let's get this ramp out of the way and we'll take this thing for a spin. This thing's got some weird brake problems where the rear brakes are sticking. There's absolutely no front brakes, so we'll have to figure that out. We're done with the choke. Here we go. It's not blue smoking. None of the racks look to be damaged other than these, because every single one of these I've had, this has been bent back. I don't think that's factory. Oh. Brakes are dragging. Tie rods are toast. How you doing? It's a work in progress. Get this thing in the garage and see if it's yelling at us. I'll have to check these bearings out. Brakes. So the rear brakes work great, but they stick. They stick in the down position. So all I got to do is pull the rear drum off. Probably end up replacing the brake shoes right here. set my parking brake. Right in here you've got rear drum, and then on the back side there's a shoe. You know, on the back side of the shoes there's this shaft that goes in, and when you pull on the brake, either from the pedal or from the handle up top, it, you know, turns this, which turns a little square peg in there, which spreads or closes the brake pads to either engage or disengage. What happens is this gets rusted on the inside because there's a seal back here that goes bad. And I have a feeling, because I just did this about 2 weeks ago to the blue Big Bear, that this thing is just kind of seized in place or being restricted by rust. So what we'll do is take this bolt off, mark where this was before we move anything, because the brakes seem to be adjusted properly, and then we'll slide this off, and from the inside you can pound this shaft, well, from the outside in you can pound this shaft out and then clean it up with a wire brush and grease it, and then your brakes will snap back. It could also be a spring issue, but I highly doubt it. The spring is taut. Yeah, it looks like there's a brake safety switch or something right there. I'm interested to also see if this thing has any remnants of gear oil in the rear end, and I guess while it's four-wheel drive. Looks like this tire's low. Oh gosh, she's cooked. Should probably check the front end before we go too far. And I have a feeling that there's absolutely no front brake pad left on either side. It's just sounds like it's grinded on metal, so it might be that these are working perfectly well, but that there's just no pad. So yeah, let's get it in the garage and see what we got. All right, I got this thing all jacked up. I don't feel any play in the axle bearings right here, which is pretty miraculous. Yeah, usually, wow, that's pretty cool. Shaking around up here. Oh, you know what it is? This thing, believe it or not, still has the original toolbox in it that came with it. If that's not indicative that it's in good condition, I don't know what is. Cool. No more shaking around. Spark plug wrench, screwdriver, wrenches. That's awesome. All right, let's jack up the front, see what we got. So it's independent front suspension, which is pretty cool. And it's live axle in the rear, which is kind of interesting. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, cooked. Oh, that's so bad. Yeah. I don't think it's ball joint. Yeah, it's bearing play. Looks like the ball joints are pretty decent shape. I don't feel any play in the axle. Let's see the other side. Oh!
Another one?
Yeah, you're on video too. Front wheel bearings cooked always. Rear axle, I just jacked it up. Completely fine, which is awesome. But yeah, just cooked. So, not surprised. I felt it when we were there, but kind of hard to hold it up and test the play. But this one's borderline dangerous. Like, don't take it down the road. This one's, you know, pretty bad. And there's play in the tie rod ends too. See that right here?
Oh, yeah.
See those rattling around? I just grabbed onto the axle. It wasn't making any crazy noises or anything, so it seems like they're all one piece.
Nice.
That's nuts. It's usually the left one that's worse. Check this out. It's so bad. Yeah, there's no brake pad left. It's literally just steel. Like he took this thing bogging deep. Let's see if we can get this to focus. Absolutely no pad, just steel. Let's see. Get this brake line out the way, and we'll a little bit of blaster in here. Alright. One. There should be another one right down about here. Take this extension off. Since it's hitting this guard. Alright, cool. Both caliper bolts are loose. Get this thing out of the way. I'm surprised how easy those came off. Look at this. Nothing. Just metal and metal. That's crazy. Alright, I'm gonna put these back in here for now so I don't lose them. Yeah. Alright. That's buddy just got me these Nipex tool. It's pretty sweet. You can adjust it. He says, once you use this thing, you'll never want to use any other pair of pliers. And I think he was right. There we go. Let's see. Sweet. Brakes with blaster. Don't think I need to pull this axle out yet. This should just slide off the splines and I should be able to drop the ball joint in order to get the axle out, if I'm not mistaken. Because then I can just remove the knuckle. So technically I don't have to do this yet, but it'd probably be a lot easier. Alright, we're gonna go eat breakfast. I'll let this sit on there for a while. See if we get lucky. So we got a random puller, and I just attached it. I'm coming a little closer so I can see this crap. So they attached it on top of the hub. I actually already tried it here and bent the hub inward, so I'm probably gonna need a new one, which kind of sucks, but oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Thanks.
Jackson, get off the counter.
Can't make this stuff up. All right, so other than the dog being on the counter, things got a little bit out of hand. So I was I was able to get the other hub and brake disc assembly off this side with no problem. As you can see, it's on there loose. And then I went over to, I started on this side and I was having trouble and it started to bend it. So I thought, I wonder if I'm forgetting something. Well, I wasn't. And I had inverted this puller. So it was perfect. It would hook on like I showed you guys, like this, and it would center and it would punch out. So all I had to do was tighten it on there and then tap on the end of this with a hammer. But I'm stupid and I learned something new today that works. So I couldn't get it because I wasn't hitting on it and tapping on it and persuading it. So I used the angle grinder and cut a piece of this out so I could start cutting that. And I thought there's got to be a better way because I thought I could crack it and then it would kind of bust apart and come off. But then I thought I'm just going to screw up the threads on the axle and have to buy a new axle. So I was able to get it off, and we're going to go ahead and pull the lower and upper ball joints and tie rod end off another day, which will be in about 10 seconds for you guys. And we will take the shield off and see what we got for bearings. Seriously? Oh my god. There we go. Stupid. My goodness. Don't lose that. You make me take the bottom one off too? Can't lose that either. See if we can get these pieces of crap out now. All right, so I got the knuckle off. Now that I got the axle out of the way, after getting these ball joints separated from the upper and lower control arms, this thing, I might have to get some new ones before I put this thing back together. Anyways, I just popped the two seals off. There's an inner and an outer, and then I'll put the link to a video that I watched. I've done this like 3 times now, and I'm not gonna waste anybody's time. I'll just point you in the right direction. But basically, you gotta pound out this inner bearing this way. You gotta pound out this outer bearing this way. So I use, what do I use? I usually start it off with a piece of square stock, which looks, this garage is a mess right now. Looks a lot like this. So you can do it with, I have another better one that's in the other toolbox over there. But straight piece of square stock, you can kind of jam it in there and push it out from the backside. I also have a bearing puller, like a pilot bearing puller, that I might pop in there and use to pull out this way, but it's kind of hard to get in there because there's this spacer that sits in the middle. So usually you got to get it started before you can get the bearing puller in there. So let's see if we can make it happen. All right, so that worked great. This bearing shot, but I was able to just kind of put this, what would you call this? I don't know what this is called. I'm blanking here. Anyways, put this metal piece in there. Tap, 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 tap. Use the old BFH over there. And I just persuaded it out. The spacer came out with it. So when I put the new bearing in, I'll make sure I install one and then put this on top, all greased up in between. And then what I'm going to do is just cheat with my bearing puller here, and we'll be back in business. crap. Oh, she's coming. One more. Cool. Cooked. Good to go. Put it back in. All right. Just pulled this back out of the freezer. Perfect. I know this is a sealed bearing, but never hurts to give it something to eat, because we all know that eventually that little cap is going to disintegrate in there on the backside. Perfect. Man, that driver set is worth its weight in gold. It's so cool. All right, now what we'll do is we'll flip this over, grease up this spacer here, and drive the other one in the other side, and we will be ready for reassembly. But it's August 5th and about 75 degrees at 8:30 in the morning, so we're gonna go out on the boat and deal with this bullshit when it's dark out. So I just installed new brake pads on the front left caliper here. Everything went great. I was able to use these clamp style vice grips and just kind of press the caliper cup, if you will, that pushes the pads in and out. Kind of clamp it backwards and get enough room to slide the new pads in. So I went ahead and tried to do the same thing the other side, and this is what new pads look like, thickness wise. This is, I keep saying this every time I work on another Big Bear, but this is the worst set of brake pads I have ever seen. This is that little L-shaped bracket that's supposed to be like a retaining clip that goes on the front side before the first pad goes in. This is what was this is what was left of the brake pad. It's literally just the outer shell. So what was happening is, and this is obviously the inner, well, I should say outermost, but furthest away from, yeah, outermost. This is the innermost, right up against this cup. Let's see, right here. So you can actually, I sprayed some blaster in there. My intent was to pull this, you know, straighten this cup out, but if you look at it, it's actually completely cut. So it was providing some braking. So this caliper's junk. I could probably replace this, but it's all, you know, the cylinder that this piston, if you will, goes into is all cattywampus now. So there's a replacement one online for $22, just an eBay part. So I'm gonna risk it. It's got good reviews, and we'll put it back in there and bleed the brakes and see what happens after that. All right, I got the right side all patched back up, new bearings, new seals, packed a little bit of grease in the upper ball joint. We go ahead and toss this thing back on. And I still having issues with the brakes though. I had to order a caliper for this side. And I think I'm actually gonna have to order a caliper for the left side as well. But they're cheap. It is what it is. The bearing the caliper is supposed to float, and it's stuck in place. So even though I got the new pads in and everything was perfect, I went to go put it on and I couldn't get it to line up, and I realized that it was because the float action was completely seized in place, and I popped the rubber cap off the back side of the caliper, and still didn't have any luck. Ended up stripping out the thing, and the caliper's basically junk at this point. So it is what it is, but we will, we got rear brakes, so might as well put this thing back together and send it, right? All right, that's better. Let's climb under here. Oh, wow. A little watery. Nothing on the magnet. Very impressive. Cool. All right, we'll do the front next. That's all she's got. Maiden voyage is complete. Still got a couple little odds and ends. There's currently no front brake calipers on this thing still. Just did, what did I do? Front differential gear oil change this morning. Thing ran great. I'll insert some clips here. Me cruising along. I had a lot of fun. It's so slow. It's geared to pull stumps, you know. Every time I get one of these, I get it for cheap, and then I put a little bit of money into them. They're like brand new, and I'm thinking, man, this is a really nice quad. Then I ride them, and I'm like, man, this is a really slow quad. There's just nothing. It's like it needs another gear. If it had another gear, it would just be absolutely perfect. But yeah, I gotta pull the rear brakes apart a little bit, and after that, we should be in good shape. Got the trailer redecked. Tires seem to be holding there. Four-wheel drive's working great. Still got to put the new decals on the sides. Just haven't had the, honestly, energy to scrape all that crap off. I got to pull the heat gun out. I don't know if I put a spark plug in this thing yet. I think I did. I'll have to check. Doesn't seem to need it, but might as well. It's a little muddy, so I'm gonna give it a wash when we get back, just for fun. But definitely a good little machine. Runs like a top. A very, very slow top, but it runs great. All right, here we are. Just finished up the ride. Got a new eBay brake calipers. They're both successfully bled. I've got this little Mighty Vac brake bleeding kit. They make a really good video on how to do this. If I can figure it out, you can figure it out. Basically, all I did was to give you a tube into this bad area here, which you put enough fluid in, and there's another tube that connects to that. That way you've got constant flow of fuel and an area for the air to escape, and then suction with another tube to the actual pump handle, if you will. But basically you put fluid in the top of the reservoir, crack the closest bleeder, well, I guess the furthest bleeder first, pump it using the handle until you get a steady stream of bubbles, because it's usually just leaking air from here. Crack it, tighten it loose, tighten it up, and then I was successful the first time. So yeah, make sure you check out Mighty Vac's video. That was super helpful to me, and there's no way to do this without making a mess. We're gonna put the tires back on and see if we got front brakes. We should.